Hi and welcome, everybody. I'm Tanya, your host, and you are listening to an interview in the series of Amazing Autistic Women. In this series, I interview women on the autism spectrum, showing our everyday life problems, struggles, and limitations. If you want to support me and help me make more of these interviews, there is a GoFundMe link below the video and you can make a donation. Your help will be really appreciated. Thanks. Now, let's welcome my guest, Dr. Anila Kahn. She is in Pakistan. She's a psychotherapist and a late diagnosed autistic. Hi, Anila.
Hi, Tanya. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You spread awareness about several topics, not only about autism, but also about autism. So, can you tell us what path has led you there?
Okay. So, our discussion before that discussion, I told you that I am basically I'm a psychologist. My training is of psychologist and psychotherapist. Then I started working with children that was autistic, and then I just changed my path. You could say I just started adding things into my work and related to children, developmental problems, developmental delays. When I was working with that, then I saw autistic children that were different from other children, like those who have intellectual disability, those who have Down syndrome. Then it gives me this, idea that maybe there's something is not right about them. Instead of, from this I mean the therapeutic method that was used in my country, because I'm from Pakistan, that was not right. You know, those children are treated like they don't understand, like their all senses are working, but they don't understand that. But with the passage of time, the time it was coming, and I was working, and slowly I get to know a lot of things. Then I just started doing awareness, and one day I started, let me see that if either it's different in girls and boys, or not, because a lot of girls were coming to me with autism, boys were coming to me with autism, but there was no girl. Like, for example, if in my institution 10 boys came, then there would be one girl. So that came in my mind, what is wrong over here? Like, this give me the strength, or you could say this give me the idea to search about autism in girl. Then I started understanding that, yeah, something is also there which is in me, because my trainer used to call me ADHD. But when I used to study about ADHD, then a lot of things were not making sense to me. you know like, you have this idea that something is not making sense, and something is off, because there are different traits and I have some different traits. So that's how I came to know that I have autism. And then I started more about it, more work about autism.
Mhm. From your perspective, how does your autistic mind limit you in your everyday? Are there certain things you can really pinpoint now, like this is hindering me and that makes me problems?
So if we talk about the autistic mind, because I told you that I have, or ADHD, I was before autism, that was ADHD. So you would say that there are two things going in my mind, but sometimes one thing take over other. But the hindrance, it if I would say, is if I don't have a routine, it is going to mess my whole day. If I
Yeah.
have don't know that I have this routine, I have to do, like, for example, if whatever time is, if it's 7:30 over here, then I have to do something at 8 o'clock. At 9 o'clock I have this thing, and at 10 o'clock I have this thing. If I don't know about that, I would feel like I'm totally dysfunctional, you know and I need to know what I'm going to do tomorrow. If I will not do that, then I will feel like that I don't have a purpose, and my body is going to shut down, and my mind is also going to shut down. I'm going to get low and low and low day by day. So I need to have a purpose in my life. If I will not have a purpose, I think there's nothing I can do, and I'm not a good person, you would say, and I'm not a useful person. This is that thought comes in my mind. Then if I don't have those routines, kind of a thing. So sensory problems, eating problem. I used to have sleep issue in my whole life, like 24 hours no sleep, and then I am going to school in the morning. I'm going to university and I'm doing a lot of first. The university life is very tough if you talk about university, and there's a lot of demands on you. I have exams, presentations, doing this, doing that. You have to travel, you have to do that. So there's so many things that you could say that was problematic for me. But the biggest struggle I would say was about my food. I was not able to digest the food. Like I have GI tract issue, gastrointestinal issue, and I would gain a lot of weight. So I have to fight with my body weight too. Like I was not eating, but the little I would eat, I was too much overweight. Then I have, just because of problem with my, you could say, with gluten, I have issue with the gluten. I was not able to digest the food, so you could say that it would be constipation for 2 days or 3 days, you know, and it's a whole bad process. Your whole body is, something like that. Then there would be like sleep problem. I told you about my other issue related to food, and then my skin was bad. You could say my skin was worse. It was so many breakout, and it was, lymphatic kind of, you could say, red. Your whole body have white head, black head, a lot of eyes on your face. So it was those kind of a struggle. Then sensory problems like smell, too much smell, and it was a mess for me. Then aggression, negativity. So all that time I would do so many things to build my friendships, all the time I would do so many things to be likable, like going beyond my own capacity to be a good, to be included in something, to be included in a group, to be called by everyone that yes, she is there for us, and things like that. So there's so many things, and with day by day struggle continued, and I talked very fast. That was the biggest problematic thing for me also, because a teacher would appoint one girl in during my presentation so that she would pinch me and call me, stay, talk slow, talk slow, talk slow, so all the time they would cut me, don't talk fast, don't talk fast, we don't understand what you are saying. Then the professional life came and they would say that okay, you talk very fast. Like I told you that, I don't know, I mentioned this or not, that I'm a speech therapist also. So they would say, oh, we are not able to understand that, how a child is going to understand you, you know but things does not work that way. I am the one, if I would say, if I look toward my cases which I dealt during my speech therapy, if I work with people who are non-verbal, my success ratio with those clients are 95%, more than 95%. Like I make them verbal, and it's not just verbal. I taught them how to read, and I taught them how to write too. It's not just expressive and receptive language, it's to read and to write also. So you could say that, you could imagine that how my energy match with their energy. So that's how the thing. But the other thing, so I think
Okay,
I pretty much told you the problem that I have.
yeah, pretty much
There are so many problems, by the way.
common what I have heard so far in other talks, the usual problems we have. And did you take specific measures to cope with them? Because I don't see any I don't see any acne in your face. So did you take what did you do to overcome your own struggles, or are you still have you found some tricks, some tips?
Hmm. Okay, so the way it would say that, how I came to understand that I have sensitivity to the gluten. I have restrictive diet too. So if you call about my diet is more based. The major content of my diet is vegetables, and major content of my diet is corn. Like I like corn. I like corn pops. Popcorn. I like popcorn, and I like cornflakes in the morning, and it is oats. So I told you that I was overweight. So I wanted to lose some weight because I like either. Even then I belong to a community where girls are fat. They're considered healthy, but I don't like it. Everybody has their own preferences. It's not that it is good or it's bad. Fat girls are good or chubby girls are bad, or they're not good. But everybody has their own preferences. So I wanted to lose some weight, and I have tried everything to lose weight, from exercise to do this to do that. I tried everything. Then I started, even I went for my hormonal test too. I went for thyroid test. That's why I'm not losing weight. You know, I went for thyroid test and it came clean. I didn't have any kind of problem. Then for my diet, I start leaving food. I have to cut food from my diet. So that was slowly. I will cut one thing, I will cut other thing, I will cut other thing. And there was the other thing too, because how I came to know about my own problems. Yeah, you could say my own, autism, if you could say. I was working with the autistic children, and I was working on the aspect of GI tract issue. So if I would talk about that, I would say, oh, I also have those problems. I'm also struggling with those things. I cannot eat certain things. I have problem with the smell. There are sensory issues, kind of a thing. So at that time, I was also working with some. I was also working as a research assistant, and I was working something on this food item too, like how you can reduce your weight and what you cannot digest, what you can digest. So that was a research goal. Then I cut, um, you could say, wheat, because I'm Asian and our food is 80 to 70 to 80% is wheat based. Like we eat wheat a lot. This is our base or soul food of. Then there are other things too. So I cut wheat,
You
and
changed
there was exercise going around too. Then I cut wheat.
the diet,
Yeah,
yeah?
I cut wheat, and I was eating other things, like I was taking soup. Yeah. And after that, first time in my life, you would say that my mother said that nowadays you are sleeping.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
thought I'm sleeping because I'm doing exercise. That's why I'm sleeping. But I did not get this idea that that was a major thing, was, um,
food.
gluten. Like I was taking gluten, you know. And there was something like, I like, I like sensory food. I'm a sensory food eater too. Like I like lot of sauces. So sometimes I would get allergy from those sauces too, and that allergy would grow from my throat to my ear. And my throat was off. I was not able to utter a 2 or 3 weeks, after every 2 or 3 weeks. you know like if the season would change, I'm not able to talk to anyone. Even I'm a therapist, and one day I was working with, like, my child. When she saw me, I cannot speak. She was laughing at me. you know so, like, that was a fun part in that, but that used to happen. But when I cut those things,
Mm. We cannot hear you. You froze for a second.
and I get, sometimes, that tingling sensation over there. For the major food was, that was major change.
Yeah.
So after that, my skin also changed. The texture of my skin. Either I'm taking care of my skin too, like I'm doing my skincare routine. But after that, a lot of things changed for me.
And in terms of routine and things like that, did you implement something different? Did you make sure your day is according to your plan and so on? So,
Okay. If in terms of routine, if I would say that, like, we are in a place, like, for example, if I will talk about my country, if you're a working woman, if you're a working girl, then it doesn't mean that you cannot have to do something at your home. So you have to do your household chore too.
yeah.
Like, even if you're going to university, even if you have exam, you have to go and wash the dishes, and you have to do something. So that was always a part of my life. I have to do those, a lot of work with family, taking care of family, doing this, doing that, making food and stuff like that. So when, the routine always helped me, and whenever I look back with my struggle with those days, which were dark days, you could say, for me, and when something hit very hard, some problem hit me very hard, at that time I was doing nothing. And I felt that I'm getting more and more negative about myself. I cannot do something and stuff like that. So always wanted to do something, either before that, what I am, what I diagnosis I have. So the thing was that, if I would say that I would look around, there are a lot of traits which are traits that is according to, that is very common in my community. I belong to northern Pakistan, like I'm from KB. So if you say something, you will look for that. So your word is your final words. You cannot change those words. So that is a very common norms over here.
Mm,
That was one of a reason that I was not able to look those things in myself. You
yeah.
know, like I would say, okay, it's a very normal thing if you look toward autistic traits. It's a very normal thing, you know, but there's still struggle were there, and all I was managing because of the I have to routine. So routine was part of my life always. The moment if I'm not doing anything, then you would see that I'm sitting in my bed and doing nothing. You know, even I don't want to move anything and I don't want to eat. There would be time came that my diet would become so limited. Like one time I'm eating only one meal, or even if not no meal at all. So can you imagine that a person is not eating anything just because you don't have a routine in your day? So that is very important for me. Without routine, I cannot function at all.
Yes,
It's
yes.
like everything come on my head. It's something like that.
Yeah, I experienced it the same, and I think routines give us a lot of stability, and they help us. So if you're listening right now, I actually have I put together a few tips and tricks for everyday life as well, and it's a kind of a free course you can download, and the link is below the video and will be accessible for everyone. And in that little course, I speak about these small things that we implement to make our daily routine, to make our daily life easier. Um, so, Anila, you told me also that your work is your special interest, kind of, right? And
Yeah, that is.
spread the awareness and you help people to understand better. Do you want to say something about your special interest?
So, you know, you always have something that gives you meaning into life. And I will never understand that what it a special interest because I was uh, and I never understand that why it become my special interest, you know. From my childhood, I wanted, like, if you would see that I am a kind of a person who learn things, who have this, you know, who starve for that, you know, like people are starving for food. I would starve for something new because I want to have something in my environment that stimulate me. Because I'm a sensory person, you know that we are sensory being actually. So there need to be something that is difficult. You have to give yourself a challenge. So that's how we are brought up, and that's how I do think. And you know, if you look toward your own childhood, if you look toward our childhood, if you look toward a childhood of an autistic girl who was not able to say that, okay, I want to do that also. I want to, you know, I want to take part in that. I also want a gift, you know, or I also want to take participate in drama and competition, things like that. So you were not able to say because over there selective mutism hit you, you know, because selective mutism is a thing that is associated with autism, and we didn't know this, that is something is going on. So when you're different from people in some aspect that you don't know how they're you know, how anti function, and how they are lying, maybe whatever you call them, and how they're okay with the lie, and how they're okay with double face in their life. So there was something that they were so, okay, just get behind, you're not, like, you're not feeling included, you feel apart from those things. So I always wanted to do something that would help people in terms of. And the other thing is that I also brought up in a space, in a household where you will help people, you know. If I talk about my own family, we would help people, we would help, like my, if I look toward my aunt, they will make a lot of food so that somebody came to your house, so you have something to give them, you know. You have to offer them something to eat. And one of my aunt was making something, it is a color drink in our place, and she would give that drink to the whole village. I'm not talking about one or two houses. She would give that to the whole village, you know. So that is something ingrained in your family. So that, and if I look toward my own, if I look toward my own father, he would help everyone in the street. If there are a woman, if there is a widow, and if they're a child, he will take them to. If I look toward my mother, she's also like that. Even sometimes when I was child, I used to fight with my mom, mother. We used to fight with mom. Why you're so empathetic? Why you're so good with people? For those people who did so bad with you, you know, like they literally make your life hell, why you're so good with them, you know. That would, I would ask my mother that question. She would say that you don't need to say thing like that. You have to do what you have to do, because you are responsible for your own acts. You're not responsible for those acts. So later on you will understand those things, but at the moment, and we are so empathetic, that I remember there was one day and I was going on a road and there was a man. I still remember that man. And I still remember the way he was shivering. This was, you could say, it was the hardest summer day, and he was very old, maybe 70 or 80 or 90 maybe. And he was shivering, and he had something, what it is called, coconut. He just cut the small coconut, and he was selling that. And I felt so bad for him at that time, and I felt bad for him for 1 week. Even still, if I remember him, and I would say that he was so poor, he was not able to feed something, and where his family, where's his children, you know. So those things came along, and those things don't let me maybe sleep for days. It's like a pain, and you're taking that pain, so that gives you that, and if I look, and from a country where we have no help, where we don't have, you know the government is not protecting those children, government is not protecting those family who need help, they're on their own. And in doctors don't know what to do, therapists don't know what to do, just because of little understanding that we have, and just because of little awareness in the education. So those give me the you could say, a reason to help those people. So maybe that would be a reason, and that is a good reason to go along and live along your life. So I would say that that's why it becomes slowly the moment, okay, it's autism, okay. And when I was working, I asked so many questions. you know I would ask a lot of questions from my therapist, I would ask a lot of questions from my teachers, and people would snub me on that, oh, you talk too much. They would say that you talk too much, and you ask so many questions, you ask so many irrelevant questions. So if I don't understand something, I would say that why the child is not able to speak. If he understand, what are not helping him, what I could do for that. So that would help me, or you would say that would give me the urge to go to that thing, Okay, what are the tests? Why we are not able to identify the intelligence of autistic children?
Mm.
Because all tests are, performance based. But we know that those children don't perform well. It doesn't mean that they don't have an intellectual level. you know so those things slowly came to me, and it started become my interest. So all the time, it is 24/7, I'm doing autism and doing that and doing that and doing that. So uh, before that, I used to read a lot when I was a child. Now I used to research about those things. I
Mhm.
like research. I like to know what is happening around, what is happening in the world, and how people are different, how people react to that, and how you can make life easier for people, those who struggle. So that was the reason maybe I became psychologist.
Yeah, I can totally understand. You like to be the stimulation to learn more and to be useful in the community.
Yeah.
You
And
can see what's
because
going
we are,
on.
for our whole life, we look toward uh, the facial expression of people, so we understand that what they're feeling. It's not that autism don't, people say that, and that's a lie. Autistic children understand emotion, and we have to look harder for that. We have to look what the person is saying, either he mean it or not. So we just get those things. That's
Mm,
all.
I think so.
But for
Mhm. Is it possible that the autistic sometimes feels much stronger than a neurotypical? Like
yeah, they do.
describe with the old man, you felt it for 1 week.
And I still feeling for him. Like I still remember those tremor, the way he was shaking, and he was sitting in the road, and he was, sweat was coming from his face, and it was the hardest summer day. I
Mhm.
mean, and that road was a place where there was no one, and he was out to earn for himself. So that's a painful thing. You
Yeah.
know, people sometimes I feel that people life is very tough.
And now you're in the position to help other people, and you told me that you are also very interested in the autism in girls, autism in women. Is there anything special you're doing right now? Mm. I think the internet cut out over in Pakistan. Can you hear me? Hmm. Anila, can you hear me? I think you're back.
Yes, I can hear you. I just hear a little bit that you're interested in autism in women and girls. Can you repeat your question?
Yes, so I asked about, you told me earlier that you're also very interested in autism in girls and autism in women. Is there anything specific that you're doing right now?
Yes, we are back now.
No problem, I will cut this after. So I will say the question again and you just act as if nothing happened. Okay. So, Anila, you told me earlier that
Okay.
you are also interested in autism in women and autism in girls. Is there anything specific that you are doing now in your work or in your work of spreading the awareness?
Let me tell you something about the thing like autism. Like I told you that autism in girls, like they function different when they have autism. And if you look toward the criteria that we have, that is behavior based criteria. And sometimes I would feel that okay, this is somehow fitting. They're only talking about male. Why they talk about female? Male and female both have different needs, you know. And if you even look toward biological needs, both have different biological needs, and the brain of male and female is different. We know that, like they function different. It's not like their biological structure is different, but they function different and they are different basis for that. So what I'm doing with female is that I'm trying to talk to more people, to about this thing. I'm trying to research more about that. Even I'm trying to research about like masking and unmasking, how we can do that. And if I work with female, how relationships is for them, because I'm a therapist and I'm an ND therapist and I'm working with a lot of female. So for them, a lot of things are different. And why I wanted to do that, because if you look toward female, like I just already told you about selective mutism, like or even if you call situational mutism. Let me give an example, and that example is a true, you could say, it's a true incident. Uh, Somebody told me that, and there was a girl, and her mother needs something, and she was with her grandmother. Like she was with her mother, and she left that young girl to a neighborhood, and there was cold, like it was in Canada. It was cold, and there was snow falling in that area, and the girl and the neighbor girl was playing in that lawn. And then there was a lunchtime. The mother asked the girl to come inside, and the other girl was standing over there, and she didn't know what to do because she was not called, and she was just standing. And when the mother came, and it was night time, and it was rainfall. It was minus, I don't know, 2 3, what was the temperature. She was standing there and she was freezing. And the woman asked from that neighbor, why you didn't call her? She said she didn't said anything. Like you need to ask them. If you're not asked for something, you will not call for that. Those women and those girls are prime suspect for abuse and any kind of a thing. I'm talking about everything. Like it could be drugs, it could be any kind of exploitation, you know. So we have to look toward all those aspects that they cannot say no, you know. they don't find they don't understand that we have to say no to those things, like for example, let me tell you something also. There was also a girl, and somebody messaged her that okay, we are having this kind of a party, and she was excited because she just hit puberty. She was 18 years of age, and everybody have relationship in this age. And she went to that place, and the woman who reported that case to me, um, her niece was also with them. So 2 3 people go there, and they get this idea that okay, this place is not a good place, and um, it could be used for some other purposes too, and I don't want to name them, but you get this idea that that was not a good place to go to. And there was party and everything was going around over there. So somehow that woman, that girl, like who reported me, that girl, that woman told me that she wanted to come back, and they all came back, and she said that we are not comfortable over there. So one of them was autistic, and other was also have some kind of a symptom, but somehow they get this idea because her aunt was talking to her all the time about those problems, that if somebody say, you have to say no to those people. But how many people are in this world, how many girls are in this world who don't know how to say no? we have to say no, because these are not good things. We can get into some kind of a trouble. And when this thing came in front of everyone and police went there was no one, no people. So you can get this idea what was happening over there. That was not a good thing. But girls who have autism, they are prime suspect for those things,
It's maybe,
because they don't know how to mingle with other. So this is what I'm doing. Like if you talk about abuse, those things, like I'm just doing sessions with a lot of people about understanding. I'm doing a lot of talks to women and their problems. So that's how other autistic women will know, another autistic mother will know that what to do with their children too. So I think that's the best I can do, and that's the best way to raise awareness, because people don't know until you tell them.
yeah, I think
You need to talk about that, so society also knows that if they have somebody in their care. you know
I think you raised a very important point there about autism in women. Yeah, it makes sense to me. Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Is there any take-home message you would like to give to autistic women who might be listening today?
I would say them, um, there are a lot of women who are not diagnosed. There are a lot of people who are late diagnosed. Okay, but the thing is that you're amazing. You are a beautiful person, and if you have, like people have diabetes, people have, other problem. They have other physical problems too, and they're so comfortable in telling that. But when it comes to psychological issues, when it comes to autism and it comes to ADHD, people would ask you to give you the proof that you don't look autistic. That would be a very, if you say tell this to somebody that you are autistic, they will look you like that, or you don't look autistic. So it's not going to define you. Before autistic, before autism, before ADHD, before neurodivergent person, you're a human being too. So celebrate life and do whatever make you happy, and do not go to those places where you are not welcome, where people don't like you. And draw those boundaries. That is very important. And how you can draw boundaries, people would ask me how you draw boundaries. If for example you're talking to somebody, if you're telling somebody that I have those problems, I'm struggling with those things, and they are listening to you without judgment, without question, then that is a safe place for you.
Yeah.
Safe place mean they're not going to judge you. Safe place mean you are always ready to talk to that place. Always go to those places. So be careful with the people you have. Be careful with the company you keep. You don't need 100 friends who are going to judge you all the time and who are going to push you who you are. So this is what I would like to say. Celebrate life.
That was very beautiful, really. That was very, very nice, Anila. Thank you. Hmm.
Thank you
Thanks.
for calling
And
me.
yeah, if you're listening now and you would like to help us do more of these interviews, there's a GoFundMe link below. You can contribute. Or if you also want a few tricks, tips and tricks, and there are two ways. One is you can get my free course from below. You just give up your email and you can self-study and get some of more my tips. And also Anila, I'm sure people are okay. It's okay for you if they follow you on LinkedIn and on your website.
You can follow me on. I'm not just on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Twitter. So they can follow me. They can talk to me, and they can have an interview with me too. Because you know that after that, I'm going to call you on my own interview,
Okay,
on
I
my
will.
podcast.
Thank you. Yes, I'm happy to appear. So I will put all the links below in the description of the video, and whoever wants to reach out to Anila is most welcome.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and have a good day, Anila, or it's nighttime in Pakistan, and thanks so much. See you.
Thank you.